Right, you lot. I've got a topic. I've had a question regarding the Nitro engine. This person here has got a brand new engine for their Savage X 4.6, and they've got problems here. Look, I'm having problems starting my engine. I managed to get it started. The truck started to accelerating by itself for a while, then shut itself down. The crankshaft keeps locking. Any suggestions? Obviously I've replied, but I thought this would be a good grounds for a video. Because if one person's got this problem, hopefully this video will help them, but there's probably other people that have got this problem as well. There's a few things that I can think that it could be. Don't know about the crankshaft locking, mind you. That's a bit of a strange one. I suspect that that's not actually locking. It might be flooded, or I don't know what that could be. Could be something wrong with it. That's a bit weird if it locks up. That ain't really normal. But there's a few things that it could be. But I won't worry about that just now, as long as the engine is free most of the time. We're going to try and address the reason why it was revving up. It's a brand new engine, never been started before. Trying to break it in, this bloke is. Or it might even be a woman. Sultana. I honestly don't know. But that person, that person is trying to break their engine in. Obviously I'm communicating through the Instagram. But let's help a few other people out while we're at it, shall we? Now, for this video, I'm going to use this FTX Carnage purely because it's the one I've got on the bench at the moment. And it's just going to be the easiest one to do. So, the engine's on the other side. So, there's a few things that I can think that it could be related to, given the fact that it's a brand new engine, never been run. So, the first one that I would check for is to make sure there's no leaks. Because if there's an air leak, it's going to be sucking in excess air through either the bottom of the head, or the heat sink, whatever you wish to call it, where it bolts on in between there. If it's sucking in between there, it could rev up, although it's more likely to lose compression and not run very well, but it could still cause it to run lean and rev. Believe it or not always, but sometimes, if there's a leak around the exhaust manifold, it can, in my experience, cause it to run a little bit strange and appear to rev up. That's a strange one, but it can do that, so I'll check that. But the main one is around the carburetor, where the carburetor attaches to the engine itself, to the block. If you can see, just underneath this, it's where it connects. I know engines are different, and the 4.6 engine will be, I should probably use a Savage engine to demonstrate, but I haven't got one out at the moment. But it's the same sort of setup. You'll have a little bolt. You'll have a little bolt which bolts the carb onto the engine, which is down there. That might be loose. There might be something in the way stopping it from sealing, because what will happen is it will suck in air from around the seal between the engine and the carb. So the air is not being regulated through the carburetor, it's just sucking it in, and it's going to make it run lean, which is then going to make it rev up. And it's then going to start to run too lean where it can't run anymore, so then that's when it will stop, it will shut down. I'll check all of that first in this situation. Like I say, make sure the 4 bolts here are all tight. Make sure you've got no leaks. Make sure your manifold's tight on your exhaust. Make sure your manifold for your carburetor is tight. You might even want to take it off and just make sure it's clean around it and put the carb back on. I don't know whether on that new engine, if this person had to put the carburetor on or not, or if it come pre-installed. Maybe it was not installed properly in the factory, I don't know, but just check for leaks, make sure the bolt's tight. The next thing to do is perhaps the butterfly inside the carb is a little bit open, which is why it revved up. Now you need to just check this. If I can get a little bit of a torch, hang on 2 seconds. Right, so what you can do, that there, with that closed, that would be a tick over, okay? So you want to make sure, if it's open, I can't hold the torch and do it at the same time, but I'll open the throttle a little bit now. Right. For example, you can see down there now that that's somewhat open, a little bit. That would cause it to rev up quite a bit, that would, but it might not necessarily be that far open. I can't have it so the torch, so we've not got a shadow at the same time. But anyway, you get the idea. You got to make sure that's nicely closed. Don't forget you've got your tick over screw. On the Savage it'll be on a different place, but your tick over screw is this little black one down there by my finger, little black screw. Make sure that that's adjusted right, so you've got quite a small gap. You want quite a small gap there. Let's close that all the way. You want quite a small gap, but you won't know this until you've actually had the engine running, but you need to get it to a state where it will run properly. Look at that air filter. So check all of that. Make sure your butterflies, you know, at the right sort of area. Make sure you've got no leaks. After you've done all that, and you're still not having a lot of luck, what you can do then is to make sure that it's not tuned too lean. It might be the fact that where you are, the air conditions outside, for example, you might have very hot air that's not humid, dry air, you're going to need a bit more fuel, it'll run a bit lean. You know, it might be cold air. I don't know where any of you lot are if you've got this trouble. So you might have to sort of richen it up a little bit. So you can just get the low speed needle down there, turn it anti-clockwise so it comes out a little bit, only a little bit, about a quarter of a turn, something like that. Even the high speed one might benefit from a little bit of richening. Just get it nice and rich, because you need your engine to be lovely and rich for running in anyway. So in a lean condition, a nitro engine will rev up, or in fact any engine will rev so slightly, you know, in a lean condition. Because don't forget, that's what happens when you open up the throttle. Ultimately you're leaning the engine by opening the butterfly and letting more air go in. Of course fuel goes in as well, but you're making more air go in, and even in a tick over state, if some air is getting in, too much air and not enough fuel, it's going to cause it to rev, and then it might go too lean, and in fact that's when it shuts down and stops. So those are the things I would check if you've got this trouble. Well, it doesn't even have to be a brand new engine, it could just be an older engine that you've all of a sudden got a bit of trouble. You might have a leak. So if you've got a nitro engine what starts and then revs up and then stops, or starts and then revs up, check all those things. I'll go over it again. Check for leaks under your heatsink, under your head, between the carburetor and the engine. That's going to be the most common leaks between those. Some people think if you've got a leak on the air filter, well, that's complete rubbish, because you can take that off and it ain't going to affect it one little bit. Maybe slightly, because there'll be a little bit less resistance, but not a lot. Doesn't matter if you've got a leak between your air filter and your carb. The only thing you're going to do then is suck in dirt and dust, but that's not going to affect the way that it runs immediately. Do you know what, I should have took that off to show you lot the butterfly, really, shouldn't I? It would have been a lot easier. I bet some of you lot were shouting at the screen going, take the bloody air filter off, you twat. I don't know, I'm a bit scatty sometimes, but anyway, yeah, that's what I would check the fueling. Those are really the only things. Oh, I suppose on a new engine though, I mean, there could be a leak on the back of the crank causing it to suck in air through there, but on a brand new engine that's unlikely. It could be. I know some of you are going, well, what if it's got a leak on the crank? What if it's got a leak on the seals, on the crankshaft somewhere, sucking in air? Yeah, it could be one of those, but that's not something you can really check. You'd have to sort of take the engine apart and strip it down a little bit to have a look at that. And on a brand new engine, like this is supposed to be a brand spanking new engine, that this person's breaking in, so I can't see that being a leak, being a problem. So I would literally, if you've got this trouble, go through those basic steps first, very basic steps of just checking all for leaks there and making sure you're not leaning and things like that. So I hope that's helped somebody, and I hope that's helped this particular person here that's asking me these questions. I'm still going to be communicating with them through Instagram as well, but I do get a lot of questions on Instagram, see, and some of them I don't really bother making videos of, because they're just simple questions, but I think that a lot of people probably having this trouble, and you know, if you don't know and you're not very confident with RC engines and you're worried you might cause some damage, because someone like me, I know I'm not going to cause no damage, I can mess around all I want, I know there's not going to be any problems. I know like I can get it back running eventually if I need when it comes to it. But I'm here to help anybody. Any questions you want, I'll help you out. And I guarantee there's probably not many problems that I haven't come across engine wise. So all the best, you lot, and I hope you get your engines running perfectly. And just leave some comments, you know, leave us your stories. What have you got? Have you got any problems? Have you fixed the problems? Have you had this particular problem that this other person is describing, where it starts up, revs up a lot and then cuts out and you get a locking crankshaft? I don't know what that's all about. I suspect that it's not locking up really, it's just maybe, unless it gets so hot that it seizes up temporarily and then unseizes itself as it cools down, that would be a really bad situation. There's a bit of lack of description in that message really. Does it rev up and then stop within sort of 2 or 3 seconds, or does it rev up and they leave it revving and then it stops where it's got so hot that it seizes temporarily? Don't know. There's a lack of description there, but anyway, just let me know in the comments all your experiences, and I shall catch you in another video, you lot. All the best. And Saturday evening now, so I'm going to go in and chill out. Ain't got no beers, plenty of Russian vodka, so I'm going to get on the Russian vodka. Catch you later on, you lot. All the best.